my beloved child. Before this message reached your eyes, something unusual had already begun moving behind the scenes of your life. You may not have noticed it yet, but someone has been trying to communicate with you about a person who is carrying a truth that has remained hidden for far too long. This is not an ordinary coincidence. Every delay, every unexpected thought, every familiar memory returning at the strangest moment has been leading toward this exact point. The message has searched for the perfect moment because your heart needed to be ready before your ears could hear it. What you are about to discover is connected to someone whose silence has been louder than any words they could have spoken. They have carried emotions they never expressed, questions they never asked, and feelings they never found the courage to reveal. Yet the silence cannot last forever. Every hidden story eventually reaches the light. Every unanswered question eventually finds its answer. Today is the beginning of that answer. Do not rush ahead in your thoughts. The most surprising part has not appeared yet. Stay with this message until the very end because every sentence connects to the next like pieces of a puzzle that have been scattered across your life. When the final piece arrives, everything that once seemed confusing will suddenly begin making sense. There is a reason why one particular person has continued appearing in your thoughts without warning. Perhaps you tried to ignore it. Perhaps you convinced yourself it meant nothing. Yet every time you moved forward, something quietly reminded you of them again. That reminder was never random. Someone has been trying to place this person back into your awareness because an important chapter remains unfinished. Long before today, unseen conversations were already taking place beyond your understanding. Small signs appeared where you least expected them. Familiar names returned. Old memories resurfaced. Certain moments felt strangely connected even when there seemed to be no explanation. None of this happened by accident. The person connected to these moments has been standing at the center of a story that is preparing to unfold. They are not who they appear to be on the outside. Behind their calm face is a heart carrying words that have never been spoken aloud. Behind every smile rests a question they have been unable to answer. And behind every step they take is the feeling that something important remains incomplete. They may never admit it openly, but deep inside they know that your paths were never meant to end where they did. The distance between you has been filled with silent thoughts that continue growing stronger each passing day. What happens next will reveal why those thoughts have refused to disappear. Listen carefully because this next part changes everything. Someone close to this situation has already sensed that something unusual surrounds this connection. They may never have said it directly. Yet they noticed small details that others overlooked. They noticed unusual timing. They noticed repeated encounters. They noticed moments that seemed impossible to explain through ordinary chance. These observations were not meaningless. They were quiet reminders that an unseen story has continued moving forward even while everyone believed nothing was happening. The person connected to you has reached a point where pretending no longer feels comfortable. They have begun questioning choices they once believed were permanent. They have started looking back instead of only looking ahead. Every memory they revisit carries your presence somewhere within it. Every unanswered feeling continues pulling their attention toward what they left unfinished. They may still appear distant, but appearances often hide the deepest realities. Not every battle is visible. Not every emotion is spoken. Not every message arrives through words. Sometimes the strongest communication happens through moments that cannot be explained. Those moments have already begun surrounding your life. The question is not whether they are real. The question is whether you are ready to recognize them before they become impossible to ignore. Something remarkable is approaching faster than anyone expects. The timing has remained hidden until now because every piece needed to fall into its proper place. Imagine discovering that someone has carried an important truth for far longer than you ever realized. Imagine learning that every unexpected delay protected a moment that had not yet arrived. That moment is drawing closer. The person connected to this message stands at the edge of a decision capable of changing everything they believed about themselves. They have reached the point where remaining silent feels heavier than finally speaking. Yet one final obstacle still remains. That obstacle is not fear alone. It is uncertainty about whether the right opportunity still exists. This is why communication has become so important. Someone is trying to guide both sides toward a meeting that will not depend on chance alone. Small events will begin aligning in ways that seem impossible to predict. Familiar places may suddenly feel significant again. Unexpected conversations may carry deeper meaning than they first appear to hold. Every detail will matter. Every moment will quietly prepare the next revelation. Do not assume you already know where this story is heading because the greatest surprise has intentionally remained hidden until the perfect time. The next chapter will uncover the identity of the person whose hidden emotions have quietly shaped more of your journey than you ever imagined. Their actions have never fully matched what lived inside their heart, and the reason behind that difference will finally begin coming into the light. What has remained invisible will no longer stay invisible. What has remained unanswered will slowly receive its explanation. But before that truth can fully appear, one final piece must be revealed first. That piece changes the meaning of everything you have heard so far. The moment it is uncovered, the entire story will look completely different. Nothing will feel ordinary anymore. Every earlier clue will suddenly connect. Every forgotten memory will gain new meaning. Every unanswered question will point toward one unforgettable revelation that has been waiting for this exact moment to arrive. And when that revelation finally appears, you will understand why someone has been trying to communicate with you about a person who is far more important to this story than anyone has ever realized. A quiet shift has already begun, even if nobody around you has noticed it yet. The person connected to this message has entered a season where their heart refuses to stay silent any longer. For a long time, they convinced themselves that keeping everything hidden was the easiest path. They believed that if they ignored what they truly felt, those emotions would eventually disappear. But emotions that are genuine do not fade because they are ignored. They grow stronger in silence. They return during peaceful moments. They appear in unexpected memories. They follow every new beginning until the unfinished chapter is finally completed. This is exactly what has been happening. Someone has been trying to reach you because this person is standing at a crossroads. One direction asks them to continue pretending nothing has changed. The other asks them to finally acknowledge the truth they have carried inside for so long. Every day that passes makes the second path more difficult to resist. They may still look calm on the outside, but inside they are asking themselves questions they can no longer avoid. Why does your presence continue returning to their thoughts? Why do certain memories still feel fresh instead of distant? Why does every attempt to move on somehow bring them back to the same unanswered story? These questions are becoming louder than their excuses. That is why this message has arrived now instead of earlier. There is another detail that almost nobody knows. This person has quietly started noticing patterns they once ignored. They have begun connecting moments that previously seemed unrelated. A familiar place suddenly reminds them of you. A simple conversation unexpectedly brings your name into their thoughts. A peaceful evening turns into a moment of deep reflection without any obvious reason. They cannot explain why these things keep happening, yet they also cannot deny them anymore. Every unexpected reminder feels like another piece of a much larger picture. Slowly, they are beginning to understand that what they believed was over may never have truly ended. The realization has surprised even them. It arrived without warning. It arrived during ordinary moments when they were least expecting anything meaningful to happen. That is often how life reveals its greatest truths. Not through dramatic events, but through quiet moments that slowly become impossible to ignore. This growing awareness has changed the way they see the past. They no longer remember only what happened. They remember what was never said. They remember opportunities that slipped away. They remember feelings that remained hidden because neither side fully understood their importance. Every forgotten detail is returning one by one, and together they are creating a realization that cannot be ignored much longer. Pay close attention because the story is becoming even more surprising. There is someone else who has quietly observed this entire situation from a distance. They never fully understood what connected you both, yet they sensed that something remained unfinished. Without realizing it, they noticed changes in this person's behavior. They noticed moments of unusual silence. They noticed unexpected smiles after hearing something familiar. They noticed thoughtful pauses whenever the past was mentioned. These small details seemed ordinary at first, but together they revealed something much deeper. The heart often speaks through actions long before words are ever spoken. This observer could not explain what they were witnessing, but they understood one thing clearly. The person connected to you was carrying something they had never shared with anyone. That hidden truth has become too heavy to keep inside forever. Every passing day increases the desire to finally release it. Yet timing has always mattered. The truth could never appear before both hearts reached the place where they were ready to understand it. That preparation has been happening quietly, step by step, long before this message ever reached you. The pieces are no longer moving apart. They are slowly moving together. Now comes the part that changes the direction of everything. The communication surrounding this person is becoming stronger because an unexpected opportunity is approaching. It may begin with something that appears completely ordinary. A conversation. A familiar face. A forgotten memory. A place you never expected to become meaningful again. At first, nothing will seem unusual. But then one small detail will stand out. That single detail will connect to another. Then another. Soon you will realize that separate moments are forming one complete picture. This is why patience has been so important. If everything had happened earlier, the meaning would have been lost. But now every piece is arriving exactly when it can be understood. The person connected to this message will soon reach a moment where they must choose between silence and honesty. That choice has the power to transform not only their future, but yours as well. The outcome depends on courage more than certainty. Sometimes the greatest changes begin with one sincere conversation that almost never happened. The possibility of that conversation is closer now than it has ever been before. The next chapter reveals what this person has been protecting all along, and the answer is far more unexpected than anyone could imagine. The truth is not simply about feelings. It is about a promise they quietly made to themselves after believing an important opportunity had slipped away forever. That promise shaped every decision that followed. It influenced every step they took, even when nobody else could see it. But promises created from uncertainty rarely last forever. Sooner or later, life creates one moment that challenges everything. That moment is approaching now. When it arrives, hidden emotions will no longer remain hidden. Quiet thoughts will finally find their voice. Long-standing questions will finally meet their answers. And the revelation waiting beyond that moment will connect every clue from the beginning of this story into one unforgettable truth that nobody saw coming. Everything has been leading to this moment, even though it never looked that way from the outside. The person connected to this message has been carrying one secret that quietly influenced every important decision they made. It was never a secret meant to deceive anyone. Instead, it was a truth they believed was safer to keep hidden than to reveal. Every time they thought about speaking honestly, another question appeared inside their mind. What if the moment had already passed? What if everything had changed? What if the story could never continue from where it once stopped? Those questions became walls they could not easily cross. Yet something unexpected has started happening. Those same walls are beginning to crack. The confidence they once placed in silence is slowly disappearing. They have realized that unanswered questions are often heavier than difficult conversations. They are beginning to understand that uncertainty lasts much longer than honesty ever does. This realization has not arrived all at once. It has grown quietly, day after day, until it became impossible to ignore. That is why someone has been trying to communicate with you. The time for hidden emotions is coming to an end. A completely new chapter is preparing to begin, and it will unfold in a way that nobody could have predicted only a short while ago. There is one memory this person keeps returning to, even when they try not to think about it. It seems ordinary at first, but to them it carries extraordinary meaning. They remember a conversation that ended too soon. They remember a look that remained in their heart longer than expected. They remember a moment when everything could have changed if only one more sentence had been spoken. That unfinished memory has followed them through countless new experiences, refusing to disappear. They have met new people. They have explored new paths. They have tried to convince themselves that life had already moved on. Yet every new beginning somehow reminded them of what was left incomplete. The strange part is that they never expected these memories to return with such strength. They believed time would erase them. Instead, time has made them clearer. Every detail now feels more meaningful than before. Every silence now seems louder than the words that were actually spoken. This growing clarity is preparing them for a decision that cannot be postponed much longer. The story is reaching a point where looking away is no longer possible. Something else has quietly entered the picture, and this is where the story becomes even more surprising. The people around this person have started noticing changes without fully understanding their cause. They have seen moments of deep reflection where there used to be certainty. They have noticed unexpected smiles that appear for no obvious reason. They have watched this person become thoughtful whenever familiar topics arise. No one knows the complete reason behind these changes, yet everyone senses that something important is happening beneath the surface. The remarkable part is that these changes are happening naturally. Nobody forced them. Nobody planned them. They appeared because the heart eventually grows tired of hiding what it has always known. Every quiet realization has brought this person one step closer to the truth they have been avoiding. They are beginning to see that some connections are not measured by time apart, but by the way they continue to leave an impression long after the moment has passed. That understanding has changed everything. It has opened a door they once believed would remain closed forever. Now the story reaches a turning point that deserves your complete attention. Very soon, a small event will seem almost ordinary, yet it will carry extraordinary importance. At first, you may not recognize it. It could arrive through an unexpected conversation, a familiar place, or a simple moment that feels strangely meaningful. The reason this event matters is because it will begin connecting every clue that has appeared throughout this journey. One answer will lead to another. One realization will uncover another hidden truth. Suddenly, things that once seemed unrelated will fit together perfectly. You will understand why certain moments happened exactly when they did. You will see why delays were never empty. You will recognize that every unexpected turn quietly protected a future that was still preparing itself. This is the reason patience has been such an important part of the story. Nothing meaningful was ever truly lost. It was simply waiting for the right moment to reveal its purpose. That moment is no longer far away. The next chapter reveals the one truth this person has never spoken aloud, not because they lacked the words, but because they feared the weight those words might carry once they were finally heard.